Time to shoot. So there are times in your life where you feel a little uneasy, weird, trepidatious. I know, you didn't think I knew big words, did you? And as my buddy always says, fear forward. But sometimes you do need to listen to that little voice inside your head saying, bro, that's where you die. Nothing good is gonna come from you going down that dark hallway. Nothing. You just saw Barbarian. You know Jason and I did 8 days on Route 66, and we had barely felt that feeling of eerie uneasiness. Well, that's this trip, except for the naked lady in the hallway. Oh, and if you haven't figured it out yet, we didn't die.
The boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. Yeah, 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 yeah. What the?
Now, when hitting up abandoned locations, you usually expect to be alone, isolated from other human interactions. But upon arrival, nothing was further from the truth. We knew this was an abandoned military base, but we were under the assumption that no one would be around, except for maybe the occasional crackhead. So when we saw people dressed in some army getup, we were a bit worried.
Wait, where's all, what? Wait, why is there a bunch of, what's happening? I'm really confused now. There are a ton of cars here, and people, and military people.
Bros had big guns. Not what we expected. But nonetheless, we pushed on. We weren't gonna drive 2 hours for nothing.
This is confusing. I'm kind of confused.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna park actually parallel to this mound of dirt so they can't see us on the road. They can't see us before they shoot us.
At first, this place was super overwhelming. It was enormous. How were we supposed to cover all the ground in less than 2 days? And with this overwhelming amount to see, I took my first terrible photo. I like the framing, I guess, maybe. I do like frames within frames, but this one is very lackluster. Usually I don't suggest going upstairs, but in this case, I couldn't help myself. I really like this one of the bathtub. I like how the 3 patches of light are framing the tub.
I don't think I'm gonna go any further though.
For this trip, I decided to pack my M6 with my 7 Artisans 35mm lens. But after these first 2 shots, I wasn't fucking around anymore. It was time for me to slap on my recently acquired Voigtlander 15mm lens. This wide lens was a must for any decaying interior that I might come upon. But my dumb ass forgot to buy a viewfinder, so I would have to guess a lot of my framing. I mean, it is so wide, so I could probably just point it in some direction and it probably would work out.
A lot of these places are just the same.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. Another sketchy stairwell. Huh. But apparently this is the Thunderdome. Okay, sure. Yeah. Also, shoot out black and white.
And for my second camera, I packed the Bessa R with both my 50mm and my 35mm color scope R. One camera would be filled with some black and white goodness, and the other would be with that sweet and saucy color film. These 2 sexy boxes would be a killer combo for any of those abandoned houses, hospitals, and dreams. Damn, is that a bit dark? Now, who knows? Maybe those families really didn't like this place and their dreams were fulfilled by leaving. Maybe. 1600s in here. Well, I'm pushing it, so. This location is actually a little overwhelming. It's not how I usually feel when I come to a place like this. Usually I'm like excited and pumped. And I'm like, where do I take a photo of? And now I'm like, wow, what do I take a photo of? There's just so much. Being a military brat, this base layout I found very familiar. Sometimes officer housings are small, very small. Believe me, I've stayed in places like this. Well, maybe not just like this. We had cabinets and doors, and the ceiling was intact. That was full power at f8, because I'm about like 5 feet away. So I think that will do it. So I'm gonna take one with the black and white 35. The first few houses we went through were starting to feel very, very, very similar. Some sort of architectural deja vu. At this point, Jason and I found ourselves separated by several walls of plaster, searching for our own compositions. I mean, what is this place? This is insane. Yes, please. The nice thing about this part of the base was that it was further away from the entrance, so there was actually minimal tagging. I didn't really feel like reframing any of my shots to avoid those spray-painted penises. I mean, you may be into that type of thing, but really what I'm going for in my images. This side of the street was quite nice. The angle of the buildings were perfect for that sun striking its golden rays through the broken down doors and the shattered window glass. I feel like this is where I was able to relax a bit and call these buildings home for an hour or two. And this is where the bangers start coming from left and right. With all these buildings, like, where do you go next? It's so hard to know. They're very similar, but they all could have their own little gems inside them. I mean, this is insane. Oh my god. Couch on cinder blocks. This cinder block couch was one of my favorites so far. I could just see some punk ass kid who set this up being really pleased with themselves, smoking a J with their peers, laughing at how film prices have just skyrocketed. And yeah, I'm sure that's what kids are talking about these days. I'm really liking this portion of the house. Oh, and there's literally nothing above me. Yeah. And I think this was not a doorway? Now it is. I mean, oh my God. They're literally everywhere. 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 It's everywhere. It's everywhere. After we did a little car relocation, we were stopped by a gentleman who was very nice, but definitely said we should GTFO in the next few hours before the sun dipped. There was definitely a reason this place was used in the movie Hurt Locker. It was a war zone, literally. He was an organizer of a military airsoft game. Yeah, things are starting to make sense now. He proceeded to tell us that this was the sketchiest place he has ever been apart from war. Those are not some reassuring words. So I hear people over there in that building, and I don't really want to go over there because we just had a very interesting conversation with a very nice man about how there's a lot of interesting people around here. And interesting, I think, is the nice word. Yeah.
This barricade really did a lot.
This is why we have a Forerunner.
This
This
is my Forerunner.
This is why I pay monthly payments on a Forerunner with Jason. Also, I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of hearing gunshots in the distance. I know they're just blanks, but it still doesn't really help. Also, in general, I don't think I'm a fan of hearing people's voices in abandoned places in the first place. I think that also will do it.
Especially when they're yelling.
Especially when they're yelling. I think all of those things are very much no-nos for us. My God, this place just keeps going forever. Even with those high-vis vests, we didn't feel the need to stick around. So we crossed the street and headed to the movies. Abandoned. 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 Not often. I want to go in there so bad. I am not doing that though.
Can't blame you, big dog.
I am actually surprised this little flash was able to light up the corner of the movie theater. Now, if I'm being honest, if I had a super bright flashlight, I probably would have gone in. Probably. Even though there was light in the sky, Jason and I were feeling quite wary still. Sometimes buildings tend to give off vibes. Good ones, bad ones, super sexy ones. But these vacant apartment buildings were sending us some juju that we really didn't want to mess with. It's always a little weird when you see beds and chairs arranged in a way that you know someone still is probably using that place for shelter. This is the first time, and Jason and I both agree, that we have felt so weird, isolated, uncomfortable being in abandoned buildings. Usually we're we're fine with it. I would say 99% of the time, we're chill with what we do. This is like the 1% where we're a little bit on edge. Like, do we still want to go in them? Yes, very much so. But this is the first time that our better judgment has told us to GTFO. That kind of worked.
Jason looks so official.
Oh God, it smells so bad. Unfortunately for us and our lungs, we needed to book a smoking room. Sometimes booking last minute doesn't always yield the best results. Yay for us.
Okay, are we ready for barbecue? Let's do it.
I'm hungry.
Why are you closed? This is terrible.
This was supposed to be barbecue, and now it's Italian food. So yeah, barbecue was closed.
What is this line? Why is this line?
But back at the hotel, Jason and I burned through a bottle of whiskey to calm our nerves and kill our senses.
One for you, and one for me.
We also really just had to get the smell of smoke out of our nostrils.
You're like, I set that up for me.
It's gonna be really cinematic. It's not anymore.
Jason, are you done taking a dump?
Even though that first day would house uneasy feelings, we did decide to go back the next day. There was an abandoned hospital on the property that we knew would be clear of fake military personnel, but the jury was still out if we were to run into a deformed monster salivating for our flesh. I guess we're just gonna have to take that chance. Knowing that it would be dark in this hospital, I slapped in some trusty LOMO 800 into my M6. And from that first day, I still had HP5 in my Bessa that I was pushing to 1600. I know I talked some shit on graffiti earlier, but in a lot of these early shots, it's actually kind of nice. It adds a bit of color to what would be a beige, bland wall. Honestly, LOMO 800 kills it.
This hospital is insane. It's crazy. I don't think these elevators work.
Is it cool?
Yeah.
I am not going in there. Yeah. That's also a no. Even for a 4.5. Okay. I think I'm also going to take a snapshot with this guy.
I really like these images from the downstairs hallways and the stairwell. I like how it plays with light and shadow coming from the world above. And in some of those blacks, you never really know what is lurking in the darkness.
Gave arrows this way, so you know where to go. This is a cool room. Oh damn, yeah.
One thing that is really great about this light pix flash is that it has a modeling light on the front of the unit. It really does help when you decide to forget all of your fears and walk down that dark hallway, even though your entire body is telling you not to. Like I said before, maybe sometimes just listen to it. One thing that I noticed when shooting this flash alongside my 15mm ultra wide is that the light doesn't spread evenly across the entire span of the lens. Depending on where you aim the flash, you might actually get a little bit more fall off than you would like. Personally, I'm cool with it, but it's definitely something to keep in mind if you plan on rocking this setup.
Do we dare?
Nope.
We could have slept here last night.
No thanks.
All these little rooms that we went into down this dark hallway were so interesting to look into. They shed a little bit of light of the world in that time frame. I'm super glad that that light pix flash was around. I mean, we probably wouldn't have gone down into those hallways. Over these 2 days, I only put in 1 roll of pushed HP5 through my Bessa. I knew I wanted that extra 2 stops when shooting indoors, and I knew HP5 could handle it.
I would say overall today is not as freaky as yesterday. For some reason the vibes yesterday were freaky vibes. Today are more pause vibes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep that pause vibes going. Spreading the love, the pause vibes love. Pause vibes love.
Okay.
Cool.
In a weird way, having a bunch of fake military people around made us know that we at least wouldn't be kicked out of the location. For all they knew, we were official photographers for their event. After Jason and I had ascended to another photography plane for surviving this hospital in one piece, we had a few more shots to kill in both of our cameras. So we headed to a little building out back. Personally, I think this is where I got a few of my favorites from the trip. This photo of the drawer label gives a little glimpse into what the room was used for and presented in such a way that they only knew how to for the time: paper and tape.
Wow. I was right. This is cool.
The thing that I find striking about these images is the detail that they provide for this time and place. This one shows the floor plan and some documents describing a case of explosive diarrhea. Hey, don't shoot the messenger, even if it is with an airsoft gun. This photo of the calendar is by far my favorite for sure. 1994. I was 6 and probably the sweetest kid alive.
Do you think that sanitizer is safe anymore?
That's all she wrote, baby. So after we were done exploring and we finished our rolls, it was time to head out. Even though the constant feeling of being watched had subdued, we were still ready to leave.
Before we get murdered.
With all of the craziness that this location has, I'm very surprised I didn't shoot more. But I didn't. It was the first time I'm pulling a Jason Cumberfelt and not shooting as much. We'll see, they probably all suck.
Jason Cumberfelt and being extra handsome.
Extra handsome.
How many rolls did you shoot?
3.
That's pretty good.
How many did you shoot?
2.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm still pulling one up on him, so.
Honestly, I thought I would have come away from this weekend with 3 times the amount of rolls. But I think the uneasy feeling subdued my trigger-happy nature. I mean, maybe it's a good thing. I mean, it's better for my wallet. The funny thing is that I still love exploring. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to stop diving camera first into a dark, damp, dingy, derelict building. Say that 5 times. So we made it through another one. And I would have to say, we got some pretty good photos as well. The feeling of uneasy, even though strong this time, is ever so met with intrigue, especially when you have a shooting partner that you know has your back. So when exploring, go with a buddy. Just saying.